and welcome to Take Control of Your Career. If you are looking to level up in your career, then you're in the right place. Today, I'm so pleased to welcome Marcie Mueller, VP of Leadership Development at Impact Group. Marcie, welcome.
Thanks, Lauren. So great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have so much to talk about. There's lots of great background that you have. You have a really broad background in the leadership and HR space. So you started in the corporate world and now are in consulting with Impact Group, and you're supporting other organizations to help them develop their leaders and their teams. So tell us a little bit about your career journey.
Well, thank you, Lauren. It's just great to be here, and I'm happy to share. When I think about my career journey, I look at the themes, or what I call the red thread, and I think that I am a people developer, and that my entire life's work has been around helping other people succeed. And you've heard me say a million times that organizations succeed when their people succeed, and that's what we're all about in my role today, is helping organizations find ways to solve business problems through people development. And just to give a highlight of my earlier career, I myself have been a business leader at a local level, regional level, and corporate level. I have been an HR director, as you mentioned. I am an executive coach, and I have a deep background in adult learning. So one of the things that's been most rewarding has been developing enterprise-wide leadership development, other kinds of programs to really help our organizations. So my career journey is 30 years of helping people succeed. That's what I really love to do.
Absolutely. And I know you really do make such a big difference in these people's lives and in the organizations. And just from knowing you, I know that you're so passionate about helping get more women into top leadership positions. So why is that? Where does that come from?
Well, I think it comes from a lot of different places. Myself in my own career, I have had many positive female role models and role models that were men as well. But it's really inspired me to think about how to help women advance. My personal mission is to advance the global dialogue around women in leadership. And I've had a chance to speak in many countries about it because, the bottom line is, if you think about women, and you've seen the data from Catalyst, it forms a triangle. Our top companies in the United States are about half female. But when you go to that first level of leadership, it drops down. When you go to executive leadership, it's down to about 25%. And to me, this is just flat out waste. We are wasting talent in our organizations. And you and I have worked with brilliant women, and to think that there's barriers to advancement, I just feel honored and really like it's my mission to use my voice and my skills to try to help women advance. And as you said, into executive ranks, but also thinking about our younger women just coming into the workforce in the first 5 years. I think that there's a lot of work to be done there too.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's one of the things that came out of the Lean In study a couple of years ago, was that biggest gap was at that first rung into leadership.
That's right.
And that if you don't get them into that first level of leadership, then it just, obviously it's never going to recover.
Absolutely. If I could add hoc onto that, Lauren, a lot of companies advance leaders based on having critical experiences, like having managed a P&L or led a team or taken on a global assignment. And if those opportunities are not available to women, later on, they're blocked from their career path. So I love that you brought up that study about the rung in the ladder. You're totally right.
Yeah. So one of the main areas that we focus on at Impact Group is, how we can support global companies with having a more diverse leadership pipeline. So what are some of the universal themes that you see coming through?
From the women's perspective, and Lauren, but one of the accomplishments I feel really proud of was developing a model and a framework for developing women. And we've really road tested that here. We've had women in 14 countries in our programs. And even though there are definitely cultural differences, I'm going to tell you 3 themes I see time and time again. The first is confidence. And, the confidence is us being ready to step up and take a risk, stretch a little bit beyond our comfort. The second theme I see in women's goals is around speaking up, advocating for their own careers, but even just advocating for their ideas and their team and gaining resources and things in their company. But the third one I'd like to spend 1 minute on is controversial. When we have women come into the program, so many of them will say to us, I'm a hard worker. I am the tops at what I do, and their philosophy is that it is merit that gets you promoted. And you and I know merit is the gatekeeper. You have to be great at what you do, but the differentiator is not merit. And there's many studies that have been done that say organizations are living systems, and that getting women to stretch and grow in building their networks, in promoting some of their accomplishments and being known in the company is really the differentiator. So that's a theme. Those are really three themes I see a lot coming up in programs that we have run and with women we've helped.
Absolutely. And I hear that time and time again with our participants in the Earn Your Worth program, where they get to a senior level based on their merit, and they see themselves as expert. And then all of a sudden there's a realization that expertise is no longer what is looked for in that next level. And the reality is you have other people to be experts for you at, once you get to that senior executive level.
And to tag on that, I mean, if we have readers listening to us, you can't beat Marshall Goldsmith's book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, because that's literally what you just said, is that it's a little tricky. The skills that get us to a certain level, at some point we have to make some shifts as we advance to higher levels. So great point, Lauren.
Absolutely. And a shameless plug for Take Control of Your Career is that a couple of weeks ago, we had Sally Helgeson on the show, where she also wrote How Women Rise, which is kind of like the What Got You Here Won't Get You There for women, also with Marshall Goldsmith. So that was a great conversation also.
I have all of your books and their books right here behind me. So I'm a fan, 100%.
Thank you very much. Okay, so as we dig into this issue at a deeper level, so what are some of the things that you see going on at the organizational, what are the things that you see going on the organizational side, especially as diversity, equity, and inclusion continue to be front and center?
Lauren, we are so fortunate to work with top-rated companies. And the theme that I see here is the level of commitment to build inclusive work environments has really grown exponentially in the last few years. And so one of the things I see is that, our client firms are focused on identifying how can they effectively advance all talent, including women. So I think that that's good news. I will say, when I look at the corporate side, one barrier that comes out in our programs, and I think all of us have experienced, is that because there are few women in leadership, that we lack female role models, advocates, and sponsors. And so we call that affinity bias, that when somebody might be looking to mentor someone coming up within the organization, they might look or be naturally drawn to somebody that looks like them or has a similar background to them. And when we lack women at the top, then we really sometimes lose mentorship for rising women. So if you're a woman, I say, go out there and proactively find a mentor or a sponsor. And they don't have to be another woman. It could be anybody who's really invested in growing talent. And if anybody on the organizational side is listening, I think one of the first critical steps inside companies is to break that affinity bias and find ways to grow rising female talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I heard at one large company where there was actually an executive who said, I want everyone to go out and proactively find someone to sponsor that does not look like you.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
that's right. That's right. And by the way, Well, I was just saying, we all give that back too. I challenge everybody here, no matter what job title you're in, where you are in your career, there's always somebody 2 to 3 years behind you. And the best way to be seen as a leader is to help grow and develop other people. So you don't have to be an executive to be on the development side of this.
Absolutely. And there's actually research that backs that up, that people who are sponsors and are mentors are also promoted at a higher rate as well. So that's a great piece of advice. So you have helped us to develop a very successful women in leadership program at Impact Group. So tell us some of the key areas that you see women need to focus on when developing their careers as they rise higher in the organization.
So I'm going to answer this. And if you don't mind, I thought of an example I just would love to share. So the bottom line is the research that we've done says that engaging women in a process where they really are able to focus on growing their personal effectiveness, their business acumen, and their corporate visibility or network. Those are the three key pillars that we leverage in our programs. And we have seen tremendous results in terms of development and advancement by applying that type of model. But I'd love to give a specific example because I think it brings to life. We were working with a particular woman at a director level. And, you know, Carla Harris is somebody we love. If you don't know her, Google her. She's got a great TEDx talk, but she says, perception is the co-pilot to reality. And in career advancement, other people make decisions around our careers all the time, around our promotions, opportunities to have critical projects, opportunities to be put through development. So what do other people think of us? And this one example I'd love to give is that we had a director level woman and her coach said, how do you think you're perceived? And she said, I am innovative, I drive for results, and I really have a vision for where this division's going. So that's great. And because she was in a formal program, we were actually able to do a full 360 for her, you know, gain feedback from all the stakeholders. And what came back was that everyone loved her and that she was collaborative, amazing with the client, and seen as a great people leader for her team. Now, all of those are terrific qualities, but they are not the top level qualities that we look for when we're looking for a VP. And that's what she wanted, was to be a VP. So pardon the longer example, but I really think this brings to life, like in her case, she had a brand gap. How she saw herself wasn't how she was seen. So I would say for all of us, check for a brand gap. And I just want to talk about the power of coaching, because in this case, a coach, it was a complex issue, but one aspect, a coach figured out that when she was leading meetings, this woman would say, it's not me, it's my team. The team did this, I had nothing to do with it. And the perception was she was a great, humble servant leader, but not a visionary. And with coaching, she began to show up at meetings with more executive presence. She began to say, here is my strategy, this is the vision, here's our progress. And I couldn't have gotten here without my team. So just turning that around began to change impressions. And by the way, she did advance later on in her time after working with us. So hope that example, it just paints a picture for some folks and you could apply some of those ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I'm most proud about the success of the programs that we've run is that we actually just did some research, and about 30% of the women going through the programs actually do get promoted during the course of their program and their coaching program. And then about 70% will have some sort of a change in scope that gets them ready for that next level even further during the course of the program. So again, the coaching and the behavior change happens over time, but the coaching actually accelerates that process as well, which is so exciting. And I feel really, frankly, blessed to be a part of a process that helps people with their careers so much. So anyway, well, as we're starting to wrap up here, tell us what your top tips for women are who are wanting to accelerate their careers. That is who we're focused on this show. and you have a tremendous amount of experience. So give us some key takeaways, Marcie.
I'll try to keep them short, but absolutely. When you partner with a coach, there's a kind of a tailored approach to what each individual needs. But if I had to give my top tips, I would say first, understand how you are perceived. It's a little scary, but go out and ask, either in informal conversations or through your manager, how am I perceived? Because that is a key driver to your future success. And even if, like in the example I gave, you don't hear exactly what you want, understanding how you're perceived gives you the chance to begin to shape your future. I think the second thing I would say is make your direct leader and manager your partner. Career advancement is a team sport. And the number one person that either connects us with opportunities or blocks us from opportunities can be our direct leader. So really be clear in what you want and engage that person and others. The more people know what you're trying to accomplish, I think the faster you'll get there. And I had just two other ideas. One is, of course, find a mentor and a sponsor, even beyond your leader. It's always great. You need a team. You need an advancement team. We call them the guides on the side. And my last one, I would just say, is do remember that you own your career. And I worked with a woman, and this is funny, but not funny, right? I worked with a woman and she said, Marcie, I spend more time packing lunch boxes and planning the annual family trip than I spend on actually thinking about my career. And I think that that is true. And we can all fall into that pattern. So do be specific. What do you want to do? Find clarity. Consider what is the path to your next goal, and really take control of your future. So that would be my advice for today, Lauren.
Well, thank you for that perfect dovetail into the title of our show, Take Control of Your Career. It really is true. Finding that clarity, aligning your personal and professional goals, and even making sure you know what those are so that you can be intentional in those next steps of your career so that you can get what you want. I think you just nailed some really amazing advice. Thank you so much for joining us today, Marcie, and really looking forward to hearing more from you in the future.
Thank you, Lauren. Great being here.